Podcast. Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to be maybe going back to memory lane for a little bit. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of nostalgia or something along those lines. So let's get started. Yeah, I've been quiet for the past week or so. Maybe I need to go back into my routine. This is what we're doing. Going back to a routine, to a sense of normalcy. Even if sometimes we don't feel normal is the new norm, but abnormal is trying to find ourselves in a balance that sometimes is not uh, what we are facing, but what we would like to be in. And those are the little pillar that helps us to be balanced. Even though in the everlasting changes we are experiencing, we might get lost in the middle of it. So, looking out into the perspective, we're in February right now, and if you recall or don't, last year at the same time I lost my bro Jay. So it's a bittersweet after 1 year to think in the middle of all of the changes and every challenges that we're facing to take time to reflect a little bit on where we have been, but also continue to set up and moving forward in our lives because we cannot live in the past. Living in the past is basically going to the ghost town, and that's not what we want. Neither being stuck where we are, but continue to move forward where we need to be. So changes are inevitable in our lives, but we have to be open to be there, even be square, even if it's not comfortable. So, having said that, setting up our goals, continue to move forward in our life, re-evaluating where we are, what works, what doesn't work. And it doesn't need to be only at the personal level, it's also at the professional level, at every level and stages in our lives. That's when I think is the most critical, unless we want to put our head in the sand like a good ostrich and ignore everything and pretending that life is rose colored glasses, which could be nice and works for 5 minutes, but this is not where we are in our lives. So finding the inspiration, but being able to be truthfully honest and work on what doesn't work. Meaning, if we're hitting the wall every time we do a project and then nothing is moving forward, that's mean we need to reassess, step back, reassess where we are and what the direction we're taking. What I love with the agile world compared to the waterfall, they're telling you you go do this, and that. Agile gives you the possibility and the flexibility to move and change. So when you see that we're being challenged at the level of our lives or in different projects, we're going to pick up on projects at this level. You can look at the challenges. You can look at where we are and reassess. When you reassess, you can step back and decide to adjust. Adjusting where we are, adjusting what we do. It's one of the best things we can ever have in our life, but we need to be able to be flexible. It's not about us and deciding what we want or try to keep a hold or micromanaging everything, thinking that this is the best way. It's to learn to really look at what works and what doesn't work. Life will put you in position where we have possibilities, and some will be a little bit more hard to achieve and some will be a little bit more easy. Depends where we have learned our life lessons. But it's always interesting to see when we're moving forward in our lives what can happen in the agile world. Again, you can change direction, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's never a straight line. It could be a curve, it can be upside down, it can be sunny side up, but it can be anything we want. So being able and flexible to do that, being able and flexible to really reflect on where we've been, what have we done, and being able to really embrace every side of ourselves. Now, going back to look back for 5 minutes in our past is to look at the path we have been on, see how far we have come, because sometimes when we keep our heads down, we don't realize how far we have come. And it's nice for a minute to pause, turn around, reassess, and then set the course. We can change it or we can continue to where we are. This is always what we have as options. Supporting, getting a leg up. I think it's important to really realize when we have done the work ourselves that we have reached our limits. We have to learn to recognize that we did, and it's time for the support, for a leg up. I've learned a lot throughout the year, especially last year when I hit the wall and I knew after everything I've gone through that I needed, or beginning to reassess everything, needed the support, needed the leg up. And having the support that really guides you is extremely important. Doing it ourselves, we can go to so much limits. I want to take the example of my pups. When I got my pups, and they were young, they were 5 months old and 7 months old. And the first, learn the command, I learned to do this. I'm like, okay, I should be able to start to train them, which I did for 2 weeks, and they did pretty good. However, I still had to deal with the no pulling, because Mac was pulling one way, Daddy the other way. They were like a bunch of kids, basically. They wanted to have fun, which is great, but there is some basic commands that I needed them to be taught. You realize that you have limitations. So what do? You reach out to a trainer, and a trainer will come and spend a couple of hours, show you how to, and then you pick it up from there. Then you can go to classes like I did with Daddy, because Daddy needed a lot of help. She was my troublemaker. But she needed a lot of focus, which I realized she learned very quickly, actually. So we were going to classes. I was going to classes with her once a week. Then I brought the other pups with, who turned like to a circus, actually. He was like, really? You're gonna just not listen and go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to the other dog and say it's party time? It wasn't party time, so learning to work with them. And this happened with classes. Well, in our lives, we do the same thing. We can find ourselves learning to cope, learning to move on, learning to do things that are great. But it's going to come a point where you're going to need support. In that, this is where you recognize, I cannot do it myself. I need somebody else's to talk to and to be able to move on. And it's the same in business, actually. This is where you have coaches in business. Now, not every coaches are the same. Some knows what they're doing, some not so much. But again, we're not here to put a finger at anyone, because that's not the point here. It's recognize when you need the help. In order to grow your business, it's going to come a point where the business is going to want to continue to grow, and it depends on the person who runs the company. They want to stay small? Perfect. But if you want your company to grow, you're going to have to bring experts to help you through that challenge, through the way of we think needs to expand. We need to be able to do that. If you're not a visionary, or you think you are, but in reality you're not, it's better to have a second opinion, somebody then you can bounce your ideas. It doesn't mean you have to take them. Like I said to my clients, when I work with my clients or potential clients, I'm not here to tell you what to do. However, I'm going to provide you feedback, and from there, you're going to adapt this, or you're going to find another solution to work and make it happen. It's not me who's going to take the final decision. It's going to be you. That's how it works. So when you need support, you need that leg up, then you're going to lean on the people that you hired and decide to listen to or not. Because I've been in a situation where he could say anything to the president of a company. He did not give a crap. He wanted to continue his own way. At the end of the day, a few years later, he got bought by another company because it was impossible for him to grow. He wasn't capable to see the growth for his company. And his company should have been making a lot of money, but he wasn't because of the way he was running it. That's too bad. This is to the disadvantage of your own company, of your own business. It's the same thing in our lives. We have to be open to make the changes. Not that easy. Changes is not, and I always say that, roses and bonbon and champagne and caviar. It's uncomfortable, but we are learning something. Now, become the observer when you make those changes. So you will see what's happening, who's coming in your life, who can support you in your journey, what else gets off that boat of your life. Look at where you are and decide, do I want to continue where I'm at? Do I want to make the right changes? Because, again, we need support. We need to be able to do it. So, the life of 1,000 is a life of transformation. It's a life of moving from the chrysalis to become the butterfly. But it's going to go through pain, through challenges, through sorrow, through frustration, through not knowing what tomorrow will be, and having faith, believing in ourselves. I always said we're our number one cheerleaders. You are your biggest cheerleaders. Nobody else's is. You are. Not believing in ourselves is shooting ourselves in the foot. It's not saying we're winning. It's saying, we'll see. It's a shooting crap. Maybe today I win, maybe tomorrow I lose. Being and standing for our own self. Be our own advocate. Nobody else's will be the biggest advocates than you. Starting a business, and I talked about it, be your own boss is a great thing, but it's scary. I talked about it on our last podcast, I think. And you don't know where you're going. So instead then, and I always say to people, if you want to start your own business, start it as a hobby, as a side gig, and see how you're doing. Let it grow. Let it flow. If when you make the same amount of money than your business making, this is time to make the decision. Do I want to jump 100% in there? Or do I want to continue what I'm doing? You can be fine to do both. A lot of people have business on the side. So why not doing it? Why not being able to really embrace all of that and some more? We are creative people. We are here to really share our own wisdom. And I know it's easy to say, but wisdom comes with life, with experiences. We can have some wisdom, but what really makes us who we truly are is the life we are, the journey we're on. The goals are fantastic. And I used to say in the past, it's not the goal, it's the journey. And I'm like, oh man, you must have smoked the carpet like there's no tomorrow. It's the goal. Well, looking back, it's the journey. The journey is going to teach you a lot. It's going to teach you how you react to event. What do you see? What is the forgiveness? And when I talk about forgiveness for people who have an issue with forgiveness, is not forgiving people. It's you forgive those individuals because you're cutting the cords and you take back your powers. You bring back every single pieces that you have that is all scattered in the world. Following those people, you bring them back so you're whole again. Forgiveness is to not forgive what happened. You don't forget. It's not forget, but you don't forget. But you let it go. Because it is the past. And you don't want to live in the past. You don't want to live in ghost town, angry at the rest of the world, when everybody moved on and don't give a crap of the situation they have done to others. But you need to get your powers back. You need to get every single pieces of yourself back so you can be whole. And that's one of the biggest challenges that people face. It's easy to live with anger, but anger is not who you are and who I am. Peace is serenity. So when you learn all of this, then you're capable to move on to something better. Reading people is being able to see who they truly are. Not only the mask they're wearing, but their true intention. You can see very quickly what people's intentions are. Look at people who become overnight success or billionaire or whatever, an actor, whatever. And from a very interesting life to a hidden cousin you didn't know existed that showed up at your front door, to people who didn't give a light of day, then they all come around because they want something. Look at their intentions. From people who pretend to be charitable, but they're interested of the money you've got, or you got something they want. It could be money, it can be anything. Assets, then you have whatever it is. Skill sets, not only asset but skill sets. Maybe you have contact lists they would love to put their hands on, whatever it is. Maybe recipes. Maybe you have some fantastic recipes and people want to snatch because they are so good. Who knows? Look at their intentions and ask yourself truly, is it what I want to have surrounding me, or would I rather shrink down that list, that pool of people, and really find the right people to surround myself with? You don't need 10,000 people around you. I always said the first sign of trouble, you will see everybody jumping boat very quickly. We always said if you have 2 or 3 people, even one that has your back, you are the luckiest person in the world. Because a lot of people in time of abundance, they all showed up. In a time of challenges, they will be gone like the wind. Look at your surrounding. Look at the people. Being inspired of what you want to do. I spoke about doing what you love. And, if you have some skill set, if you have a dream, follow your dream. A lot of people are reluctant to do that because they're afraid of what they will be looking, or what people will be looking at, being mocked, being pointed finger at, because they don't know or they cannot do what you're capable to do. The freedom of don't care, because that's always been my motto. I don't give a crap what you think about me, has allowed me to do not fall into the trap where I see people frustrated because they have dreams, and they're frustrated because they cannot do those dreams because they're afraid. Afraid what their mate will say, afraid what their family will say, afraid of being mocked. I'm going to take the example of Steve Jobs. Apple was mocked. When they came up on the market in the early 80s, they did not give a chance for Apple. They basically mocked those guys left and right. And I was laughing too because I thought it was funny, Apple. We were only use of the IBM and everybody else's. But Apple was different. So people don't know, and they had no idea what to do with that. And a lot of people did not give much chance to Apple. Well, look at where they are today. That tells you. So instead than being afraid to be mocked, because somebody will always mock you, because they don't know what to do with you, because they feel weird, because you're doing something that they're unable or frustrated because they cannot do what they would like to do. So if you're looking for validation, then that's the wrong thing, because again, you give your powers away. Don't look for validation. Look for what you want to accomplish and be happy. People are more happy when they do their own thing than if they are waiting for somebody else's approval. I don't wait for it. Don't waste your time, because if you do this, then again, you give your powers away. Again, why would you give your powers away? You don't have to, and you should not. Remember, of your own free wills. This is what we do. You have your own free will to decide what you want to do. So before you decide to just remove the skill set you've got, because we got so many skill sets, you will peel off like it's peeling like an onion. One layer after another, after another, after another, after another. So we have so many skill sets. We have multifaceted person. The facets we've got is unbelievable. But we have to be willing to explore them. And the more you explore them, the more you become your own self, the happier you become. Be your own self without shooting it to the rest of the world, because guess what? Who gives a crap of what everybody thinks? Live your life to the fullest is being able to embrace who you truly are. Every facet, every skill set, you will be amazed of what you can do when you're on that journey of self-discovery. And again, it doesn't start when you're 14 or 15. You can be 50 years old, 7 years old. It doesn't matter. What is his name? The Colonel, whatever, KFC. He started his business, he was 60 years old. He didn't start it when he was 20. He started in his 60s. Look at where it is with all of those franchises. They're still up and running, far as I'm concerned. So think about it, because, most people do, well, I'm 40, it's too late, I'm too old. No, it's never too old. Until your last breath, it's never too old to do something you love to do. Have faith in your own self, believe in what you're going to do. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're being mocked, because that means you're doing something right, actually. Look at what you've got online, the possibility you've got. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You can start with zero in your pocket. You look at what many business there is online. I was amazed of what I see on TikTok, actually, because there is a lot of businesses that go live and you see what they're doing. Actually, very, very interesting. Start your business. Doesn't mean you have to go on TikTok for that, but start your business and live your dreams. And the more you go that route, the easier it's going to be, because things will happen in a way it's supposed to happen. Most people don't realize that either. So choose your path, choose your way. Make sure that your intentions are the right one too. Why are you doing this? What is your intent at the end of the day? Things happen for a reason for people, and you will see it when their intention is for the highest good and the highest good of everyone. Do something that will add value to your life, and it will automatically add value to everybody. So that will be the key. But again, going back to help, we cannot do it on our own. We can go to a certain distance, but then you're going to need some help. And that's where you need to be able to recognize it, and the help will come. And then it's the opportunity to you to move up to the next level. So think about it and, live your life to the fullest. What are your dreams and why are you not working on it? I know your ego will have a lot to say. Fears is something that helps us and that held us from our goals. But when you stop to justify everything to stop you, then it's time to step up, to not only name it, but time to claim it and go get it. So this was our podcast for today. I have no idea, because we are on Friday, so I have no idea what we're going to be talking about next week, but we're going to go back to our regular podcast, because there is no reason for me to not do my podcast at all. I have no excuses this time around. So all my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now. Emma's Universe Podcast.